Welcome, you fantastic game changers, the people that are up to something. You people that, you know what it's like to get your butt kicked. You don't care. You're going to keep going. Or you're just looking for somebody else to just tell you to keep going. That's what this channel's for. It's also to help illuminate different areas to why we struggle, why you have people that are incredibly successful in some areas and then just can't seem to get their life together in other areas. It's about 8 different areas of maturity. It's 8 pillars, if you will, to having a truly, deeply fulfilling life. It's a maturity project. I'm your host, Chad Negotiators. What I want to talk about today, and it'll probably be a pretty short video, is no purpose, no pride. Just thinking, like, no woman, no pride. No woman, no pride. Yeah, it's no purpose, no pride. No purpose, no pride. It's just, it's become really apparent to me. Like, you can really tell when somebody has a purpose, something that they're really living into. Like, they just seem to have this unstoppableness about them, right? Like, you meet them and you're like, this person's going someplace, man. This person is dedicated to something, and they're completely in. Like, they're so sold on it. Their life is in servitude to this purpose. I have it. That's what I'm doing with the Maturity Project. But it's interesting to me when I meet other people that have that. And it's actually not common. You get a lot of people with, like, you know, degrees of purpose, right? Like, there's somebody else's idea, somebody else's purpose that they're really enrolled in. Like people that work with charities, stuff like that. And there's no knock on it. But when you hit that full purpose, that 100% that just enlivens you, just fires you up, just makes you a different creature, that's a whole nother thing. Like, if you're 90% for somebody else's purpose, fantastic, and you're going to have a very fulfilling experience. But that 10% that isn't there is for a reason. And one of that is that you realize that that other person that is given the purpose, right? Like, let's say the institution that has been created as a nonprofit or whatever it is, may just say, you know what, I'm out, man, I'm done. And they kill it. Like, they shut it down. Very unlikely still. Or they change an internal policy that just turns you off completely, and it seems to take it from such a good-hearted thing and turns it into something that is just commercialized or just geared towards some other agenda other than the thing that it's originally was stated to be there for. Like, you have that 10% holdout for a reason. And I'm not saying be 100%, just be honest with the percentage that you're at, right? So if you're at 90%, there's nothing wrong with that. But just be aware there's a reason why you are not giving yourself the other 10. And it's not a wrong, it's not a bad. It's just, okay. You are probably in the right category for the thing that gives you the best purpose, the greatest sense of purpose in life. Probably in the right category, or an adjacent category, similar to, but not the same. You know, perhaps, just somewhere inside of it. It really resonates for you and you're fired up. You know, and there's definitely, there have been the experience of my life where I'm at that 90%. You know, feeling purposeful for what I'm doing, and convince myself from there the other 10% is not actually there. So it's a younger version of me, and you know, being involved with. And I had this with the first with the company Bodies by Design, which is what introduced me into the holistic model of personal training. That really just it just opened my mind up to so many things because of the gentleman that owns. His name's Eric Maybe. An amazing human being. He truly is one of those people that he's a catalyst in other people's lives. So he knows how to get people really to put them in the right lineup to make them more of a powerful human being, makes them more of a capable human being. But I mean, ultimately, it comes down to his business needs. That's why he does it. But he's still making a wonderful impact on the world by doing so. Because he created, like he was a part of inspiration of what turned me into who I am. He's just one of the people in my life that have been contributory, but I give him a lot of respect for the things that he's done and the timelines that he's done in my life. And in return for that, my respect back to him and my appreciation is the Maturity Project is part of the motive of why I'm doing this. Because we all can make so much better of an impact on this planet, but we don't need to turn ourselves into hippies if you're not a hippie. You don't need to turn yourself into any kind of political party if you're not that party. You don't need to change yourself to be some sort of conformed human being. That you're pushed into conformity. We don't need that. We do not need conformity. The reality of life is that reality itself is too massive for any one individual to fully conceive of. It's not going to be possible. I've followed so many of the different sciences, the different disciplines in science. I've followed just different authors. I've read a lot. I've gone through a lot, and I've come to the conclusion that reality is so incredibly massive. No one individual and one human being could possibly conceive the entirety of it. What we do is we get some of it, and then we just say, you know what, from what I understand here, I'm going to graph it into everything else and just say, okay, it all makes sense because it works under this particular formula of physics or something along those lines, right? This particular discipline of science is just replicated through this formula specific with different variables, and therefore, you just graph the rest of reality that you still really don't understand into the void with something that you do have some sort of comprehension over. I went into that little bit of a diatribe there because when you connect with other people, you start to get more of reality because their perspective is illuminating something your perspective blinds you to. Because it's too big, it's too massive, it's too much of a thing for us to fully comprehend. That's why I encourage people to open up to others in such a way that you're not opening your resources to just give everybody everything you have, and you're therefore left with nothing in some sort of egalitarian approach to things. We need the rich, we need the poor in order to understand the dynamics that are actually associated with that, within the reality of life in that way, and the hierarchy that we have, of how things are with the capitalist structure. I'm an advocate for it, by the way. I've got my own preferences when it comes to that, but I limitation things, but that's not for this video. To understanding the communist and socialist perspectives when it comes to economy-based systems and how the government is managing people, those things all have a reality value that if they were not here, we would not have a comprehension of that from your perspective. There are definitely going to be reality facts that are absolute, like gravity. We have an absolute value of gravity. Then we have a lot of unique perspectives, but it's really just us looking at the same thing, but we just have our own perspectives over it, based off of what thoughts we had prior, if we had incomplete or complete thoughts, if we had emotional challenges, hot or cold, if there's a resource issue, let's say you're hungry or you're low on energy, you're distracted, whatever it is, you have all these different things. You have an attachment to an outcome that you see through this situation, or that once the situation is over, you can get started or complete that thing. You have a lot of different variations to why we have these perspectives, and you don't know what that particular concoction of reality the individual is going through. You don't know if that actually has something to unlock a deeper understanding of the situation. So I'm not saying surrender your defenses or surrender your skepticism or any of that. That's all here for a very good reason. Human beings created it. Though we have these understandings of reality for a reason. So when I talk about purpose, we do need to understand reality from a bigger perspective, but at the same time, you do not need to understand the entirety of it, because I just went on a long diatribe there about why we can't really understand the entirety of it, because we're just not going to live long enough for that. And even then, who the hell knows if that's even possible in that way. But we can continue to expand our horizons by using, scientific conversations and even philosophical and psychological conversations, so that we get a deeper understanding of what we can possibly comprehend. It's just a fantastic exploration of the same thing. Like if you look at, for my technology, my education that I've been creating is the Maturity Project, 8 different areas of maturity. I'm not actually creating anything that is like, hey, I've got a new area of maturity. Here it is. And congratulations. Therefore, you have access to this because I created it. No, I packaged everything that I understand from my vantage point and maturity on reality, and packaged it in such a way that you can actually learn through it, see where your own areas of inefficiencies or and undeveloped areas are, and what you can do in order to develop those to have more fulfillment in life and not have it weigh you down or distract you from the other areas you're strong or more proficient or growing or whatever your space and time is, when your maturity is coming into play in a way that affects your reality. It always does. It's just not always easy to tell where maturity affects your reality. But I hope that's not too esoteric. It's not intended to be so. It's just more of trying to explain something that is complex in a simple way. Which is the task of anybody who's thought through a lot of different things. Put a lot of thought for detail. Your job is to make it as simplistic as possible. And it's an active practice. I'm constantly doing this because I want to be able to give people a more fulfilling life, but I'm not going to do it for them. Just illuminate the areas and then give some guide rails or structure to run on to help develop that area for themselves. It's like ultimately, I love humanity. I love what we can do as a species, how we can work together and coalesce our intellect and create something amazing. If we were to mobilize all of humanity, all of our species, into one common goal, we could create so much, but we need the diversity within our species in order to create the perspectives necessary to see the greater reality that gives us access to that new outcome. It's a beautiful thing, especially if we're all maturing ourselves and we understand when you're assessing where other people are, instead of saying what skills have you acquired, certifications or whatever for your job, you can even look at not just that, but also where are you with your maturity in such a way that you can communicate very earnest and sincere to somebody else to say, yeah, I know the deadline is Monday, but I've got all of these other areas that I'm affected in my maturity that are limiting my capacity for doing this work. Previously I could do it, but something's happened in my personal life that has now held me back from putting 100% attention because it's an incomplete situation that I'm putting some of my resources towards working through, and it's a subconscious level of effect on me that is reducing my output. Could you imagine a conversation like that as a manager in a way that you could really get a better project management understanding? I really would love to be able to comprehend what timelines I could actually accomplish this by, and I want to give realistic feedback to whoever is in need of that information, a CEO, whoever, another company, or customers, or whatever. That's in the business sector. But imagine that in your personal life. What if you were in a conversation with a person, with a relationship, somebody that you're in an intimate relationship with, and they ask you something that 3 weeks ago you were completely fine in being able to carry on a conversation with without any distraction, laser focus. You were so tuned in, but something else happened, and you shared it, but you didn't necessarily share the real impact that it's had on you because probably you didn't realize it yet. It's like going through this experience of shock when you're dealing with something. Now, all of this is relevant to purpose because that 10% or whatever variation or percentage that you're not actually in to 100% of your purpose is coming from someplace. It's coming from something that's holding you back from fully understanding what it is that you are so best designed and developed for. If you were to say what you're born for, you're fated for, what you're destined to do, those things. Well, destined to do I've always had a problem with because destined to do sounds like it's going to happen whether you want it or not. And it seems to have kind of an ability to make people kind of lazy or putting in less effort. It has more of a capacity for that than it's your responsibility to do. Destiny is kind of like, I don't know, born this way and I'm just going to get there anyway. So, it takes away something in my opinion, or it leaves a room for people to rationalize a reason to not take so much responsibility for themselves. That it's okay to play the video game a little bit longer or drink a little bit more or whatever it is that, that's the thing that they seem to do to work their way through the lack of purpose. But I do believe the more you put effort into, and from my own experience, the more you put effort into developing yourself in every area of maturity, your purpose starts to show up pretty freaking easily. Because it's nothing else is in its way. And to me, it really is like all of us have a purpose. All of us have something to do with our life that is going to bring the absolute most fulfillment in life. Now, this will have association with all of your genetic predispositions, your living conditioning, everything you've gone through, as far as like all the experiences that you had, the things that you told yourself about yourself, and what you told yourself about other people, and reality as a whole. All of that has something there, but when you get into action for the things that you actually feel like you're more purpose-driven in, you start realizing more about it. You may be purpose-driven in somebody else's thing that will only ever get to 90% or 80% or whatever percentage. But by the way of practicing something that somebody else already has structured, you get a different insight as well. You get an insight that lets you, one, get trained and developed, and superseding all of the challenges that other people have had, and learned those lessons, and then they took those lessons and made them into teaching modules that made people more efficient and proficient at the tasks that they've had, and you have had the benefit of being the beneficiary of that, and now you're that much more capable of things without having to take all of the time for trial and error and the potential of a miss on efficiency. Like, all of that's incredibly time consuming, but you got that bypass, kind of the hack, right, for purpose. You got that hacked, and then you get the next one, which is you're practiced and developed in that particular skill set by somebody else who understands how to do it. And then you get exposure to other things that your mind goes, there's something else here that nobody's putting attention on. I have an idea how to make this better, or another direction to create more fulfillment in my own experience and potentially helping other people experience something as well. So it opens up a bigger perspective just simply because you get into action. And you're in action in a direction that has you feeling purposeful to some degree. But when you synchronize in with that 100% purpose, it really does have this sensation. And again, this is also from other people that have communicated with me about it. It's not just my own, my own experiences, anecdotal experiences. This is beyond that. There's other people, and then obviously being the study of a lot of things. So, just be in action. Do something. Be doing something. That will help you break free to the point that you'll have more opportunity to see more purpose in your life. Because you'll get up before your alarm clock. You'll stay up past your bedtime. You'll spend more time being present because you're not distracted by other things that are just trying to create some degree of fulfillment. That's what a lot of daydreaming is, by the way. It's doing a minuscule task or doing something that's not overly engaging, and you have a wonderment about experiencing something more fulfilling. You're looking for fulfillment when you're daydreaming. So it's a beautiful indicator. If you daydream often, what are you doing in order to get to that point where you are that fulfilled? Do you have even an understanding of what that fulfillment is? Fastest way for me to get you there, 8 areas of maturity. Let's start going through them. Let's put some effort into understanding where you are in each one of those areas, and then you get to become more capable. Pretty much, it's actually you get to be more capable throughout all of life. And when challenges occur in areas that you have a more than proficient degree of maturity in, those challenges are nothing like they would have been had you not actually put effort into developing yourself in. The payback is massive when you start looking at it through the perspective of maturity. So you're already going to be doing something anyway. You're already going to be working. You're going to be doing things throughout your day. You're going to be doing things often. So why not do something that builds to your future in a way that's more controlled, something that's more desired for you, so you actually have a better outcome? That's what the Maturity Project is all about. If you're not subscribed already, subscribe to the channel. Let's go and join the community. Let's be a part of this. Put a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you're getting out of this. If you already clearly know what your purpose is, love to be engaged with that. It is a massive and beautiful thing. Purpose and spirituality, by the way, is the 8th area of maturity in the way that I teach this. And it's a part of it, and you can develop it too. But it is the last one for a reason. And we'll go through that as time goes on. Share this video with the person in your life you want to start a meaningful conversation with. Somebody you want to break the ice with and really do something, make change. Change is not going to happen between your ears. It's got to come out into the world. Do not take your greatness to the graveyard without letting other people realize who you are. That is absolutely beautiful and powerful. Let's teach the world who you are. Don't take your greatness to the graveyard. Let us all know. Okay? We can access that through the Maturity Project. I'm your host, Chad Edward Brochures. Thank you so much for joining. And don't forget to like the video, help it with the algorithm, all right? We'll catch you on the next one. Let's get up to something. Let's get up to it together.